Raider Nation, what's going on? You're watching the Raiders Report, brought to you by BetDSI, and I'm your host, Mitchell Renz. Please follow me on Twitter for the latest Raiders news and rumors at MitchellRenz365. I got some good rumors on tap for you all today. I got a 6-tap of rumors. The first one I'm going to kick this one off with is, do the Raiders have the toughest schedule in 2019? If you base it off of how their opponents did in 2018, this one's for Chucky heads, and believe it, baby. When I first saw this, I was pretty surprised because, well, normally sometimes the teams that don't do so well maybe get an easier schedule, but it's that AFC West which is really laying into the Oakland Raiders. And when you just look at who the Raiders are going to be playing, the AFC South, really tough. The NFC North, really tough. Heck, they have 7 games against playoff teams and 10 win teams alone. The .539 win percentage, that's the highest among any teams in the NFL. So the Raiders actually have a really, really tough schedule. And if you watch the show that I did a few days ago, I went down and I broke down every single one of the Raiders' home games, every one of the games' road games. Now, we don't know the exact schedule yet, but we do at least know the Raiders' opponents, and it's a tough schedule. So, with that being said, I want to know from you, how many games are the Raiders going to win in 2019? I put a poll on in the Raiders Report, and I've been seeing 12, 13, 10, 9, with the hardest schedule in the NFL. Now, things can change. It's the offseason between the draft. I get it. Things change. But tough schedule. How many games are the Raiders going to win in 2019? Raider Nation, what's going on? You're watching the Raiders Report. I'm your host, Mitchell Renz. Make sure you guys subscribe below to youtube.com/Raiders Report if you want to get on the show like my Raider Nation rumors. So, what do you got to do? Subscribe below, youtube.com/Raiders Report. My next rumors around the NFL draft, and are the Raiders going to draft cornerback Greedy Williams? Well, I absolutely love this name. This one's two Chucky heads, people are talking. This one's 50-50 for me. I like Greedy Williams a lot as a talent, and when you have a name like Greedy, heck, that just makes me want to see him in the silver and black. Now, I think the Raiders are ultimately going to go defense because they desperately need defensive help. And then Williams does have number 1 cornerback ability, but Garyon Conley, I think, has really stepped up for the Raiders, and if we had Garyon Conley and Greedy Williams next to each other, that would be one of the best, I think, 1-2 young punches in the NFL. But I think when you're talking about Raiders and cornerbacks, you have to look back on all the misses. Hopefully Mike Mayock, though, there's no more misses on that first round. When you look at Greedy's past season, or his career, it's been pretty special at LSU, and I think it's gotten a lot better. He's tall, he's lanky. I think he's going to be able to go up against some of these bigger wide receivers in the NFL. And 24 games played, 71 tackles, 19 pass breakups, 8 interceptions. Long and lanky dude. If he can also add on a little bit of weight, Greedy has the talent to be an absolute number 1 shutdown corner in the NFL. So the Raiders right now have the number 4 pick in the NFL draft, but who the heck are they going to take? I don't think Nick Bosa is going to fall to 4. So I want to know from you, who are the Raiders going to draft at number 4? If you're on YouTube, if you're on Facebook, comment below. If you want to know what I think, DM me on Twitter at MitchellRenz365. I got a holiday giveaway thanks to our sponsor, BetDSI, and it's the best giveaway out there. Go to chatsports.com/bet and use that promo code LIVE120 for a 120% deposit bonus. When you sign up and deposit, make sure you DM ChatSports on Twitter at ChatSports, and we're going to get you one of those beautiful Raiders jackets. So remember, chatsports.com/bet. Use promo code LIVE120 for a 120% deposit bonus, and then it's down below, ChatSports on Twitter. DM us with your screenshot, and we'll get you hooked up. Sound good? Awesome. Next rumor coming up here. Are the Raiders going to draft 2 wide receivers in the first round of the NFL draft? And I get that they have 3 first-round picks, and I get that a wide receiver is a big need. But 2 wide receivers in the first round, this one's only 1 Chucky head for me, and I just think it's a small shred of truth. Now, I've said it before, I think the Raiders need offensive help. But 2 wide receivers in the first round, CBS, I just can't quite get on board with that one. And they want the Raiders to take both Ole Miss wide receivers, Metcalf and A.J. Brown. 2 wide receivers is just simply head-scratching for me. When you look at what the Raiders potentially need on the defensive side of the ball, you could argue that the Raiders are the worst defense in the league. I think they're more bottom 3, but still, we need, I think, to address all 3 of those first-round picks on the defensive side of the ball. And I like A.J. Brown. He's talented. And DK, this past season, maybe not the greatest, and I think he has the build to potentially be an okay wide receiver. But in the first round, I'm just not totally sold on it. In his 7 games this year, 26 catches, 569 yards, and 5 touchdowns. But that doesn't even come close to the numbers that A.J. Brown put up this year. And Brown had a good year, and he was one of the top wide receivers coming into the draft. And I think before the season started, he was actually my number 1 wide receiver entering the draft. 85 catches, 1,320 yards, 6 touchdowns at 15.5 average on an Ole Miss team that dealt with a lot of controversy. I would have loved to see what A.J. Brown could have done with Shea Patterson. All right. Will the Raiders draft a wide receiver in round 1? CBS believes that they're going to draft 2 in round 1. How many wide receiver, or are the Raiders going to draft a wide receiver in round 1? I kind of already give my opinion, but if you want to know what I think, DM me on Twitter at MitchellRenz365. Probably my biggest rumor, and probably one of the biggest NFL rumors going on right now, are the Raiders going to trade for Antonio Brown? And Antonio Brown addressed that he wanted to, leave the Steelers and he wants to be put on the trade block. He's kind of a diva, but he's also one of the best wide receivers, if not the best wide receiver in the NFL. However, this rumor, are the Raiders going to trade for Antonio Brown? I'm giving this one only one Chucky head, and I think it's a small shred of truth. When you look at how much money he would have to, the Raiders would have to give him in dead cap space, or would have to accept in dead cap space. Sorry, that was confusing. It's $21 million before June 9th. So I don't really think the Steelers are going to ultimately eat $21 million and then put their best player on the free market. So AB is 30 years old, and here's the thing, though. He's 30 years old. He would take a huge contract. And yes, the Raiders need wide receiver help, but the Raiders are a bottom 5 team and have a top 4 pick in the NFL draft for a reason, and I don't think Antonio Brown is just necessarily going to be the piece that fixes it all. They might even have to give up even more draft capital to get Antonio Brown. I want to keep those picks. I want to see what Mike Mayock can do since he's an NFL draft analyst, or used to be. He's a draft expert. I want him to use those picks, and I want to build for the future, and I just don't think Antonio Brown's really going to help the Raiders in what we're trying to accomplish in the future. Now, I say all that, and now I'm about to show you how amazing Antonio Brown was this past season, right? So 168 targets, 104 catches, 1,297 yards, and a career-high 15 touchdowns. And I'll say it, I think Antonio Brown is the best wide receiver in the NFL right now. He's just can run super clean routes. You really just can't stop him. Well, unless you're Garyon Conley, right? He held him to 7 targets, 5 catches, and 35 yards. So maybe Garyon Conley's the GOAT. Who knows? All right. Antonio Brown, a lot of money. Is he going to be a good asset? I want to know from you, would you want the Raiders to trade for Antonio Brown? I want you to type Y for yes or type N for no if you're on Facebook, if you're on YouTube, anywhere you're watching this video. Type Y for yes or type N for no. Do you want the Raiders to trade for Antonio Brown? My next rumor is around London. And are the Raiders going to play in London in 2019? I talked about it on the last episode. Well, now there's even more circulating around on this potential Raiders playing in London. And I'm only going to give it one Chucky head because I still think it's a small shred of truth. But I don't know, some of these people in the media are really starting to hype up that this might actually happen. And I'm still going to pump my brakes at least a little bit. So the National Football League, the Oakland Raiders are in talks with top-flight English soccer side Tottenham Hotspur over playing at the 8-game home season next year in the Premier League's club new home grounds, according to reports. According to the Daily Mail, the new stadium is a serious contender to host the Raiders, who have played 2 games at Wembley Stadium in London as part of the NFL International Series. Now, they're saying they might play in London. I'm giving this one only one Chucky head. And luckily, our sponsor, BetDSI, was nice enough to give us Raiders home city odds for the 2019 season. Oakland's still number 1 at plus 120. San Diego's there at 250. Santa Clara's at plus 400. Phoenix plus 500. And you're looking at Seattle. Seattle's at plus 1,000. Don't really think this one's going to happen. San Antonio was, with the Alamo Bowl, is a place where I talked they could potentially play. Portland, Memphis, don't really see those happening. I wouldn't put my money there. And now we're going overseas, or not overseas, up north to Toronto, St. Louis, and then overseas to London at plus 5,000 odds. If they are a serious contender and it's plus 5,000 odds, that's pretty good. And then you got the field at plus 500 odds. So, Raider Nation, I want to know from you. Where are the Raiders going to play in the 2019 season? Are they going to play in Oakland? Are they going to go to Las Vegas? No, I know that's not going to happen. Are they going to go to London? Where are the Raiders going to play in 2019? I want you to comment below. Let me know on YouTube, Facebook, and if you want to know what I think, DM me on Twitter at MitchellRenz365. Got a holiday giveaway thanks to our sponsor, BetDSI. Go to chatsports.com/bet to get your mitts on one of these beautiful Raiders jackets. Sign up and deposit, and when you sign up and deposit, use promo code LIVE120 for that 120% deposit bonus. It's the best bonus on the internet, I can guarantee you that. You put down $50, you get $60 for free. Put down $100, get $120 for free. Be a big baller like Toupee Tom. Put down $500 and get $600 for free. Shout out to BetDSI for hooking us up with the best promo code on the internet. My last rumor here is around Hard Knocks, and are the Raiders going to be on Hard Knocks in 2019. This one's too Chucky heads, and people are talking. I think it'd be interesting to see the Raiders on Hard Knocks. And right now, the Raiders are one of the 5, I guess we'll say, finalists or teams that actually aren't allowed to refuse to be on Hard Knocks. And I think it's kind of interesting that they can't really refuse to be on it. But, hey, you got to make money, and I understand that that's the way things go sometimes. So the 49ers, Giants, Lions, Redskins, and Raiders are those 5 teams that are not allowed to refuse. And now another team could technically volunteer to be on Hard Knocks, but if there's anything I've seen, I don't really know if teams necessarily like all the extra coverage, but also the teams that have been on Hard Knocks have not done very well. I mean, you look at the Browns. Now, the 2018 Browns, sure, they went from 0-16 to 7 wins. That's much better. But most NFL teams, franchises, don't really consider a losing season to be very good. And you got the Buccaneers, the Rams with Jeff Fisher. That was an absolute nightmare. And then Texans, Falcons, those were the last 5 teams to be on Hard Knocks, or last 5 teams to be on Hard Knocks. All right. So I got a little bit of a reaction poll for you guys. So if you're watching on YouTube, if you're watching on Facebook, I'll give you some instructions here in a bit. Should the Raiders be on Hard Knocks? I want to know from you. Give me a heart for yes or a like for no. If you're watching on Facebook, give me a heart for yes or a like for no. If you're watching on YouTube, just comment below yes or no. Should the Raiders be on Hard Knocks? I would absolutely love to see the Raiders on Hard Knocks. I think it would look pretty cool. I also think I look pretty cool thanks to Mizzen+Main, and they hit us up here at Chat Sports with all these awesome shirts. They got sweat wicking technology. They're made in America. They're super flexible. You can go to the gym in them. You can wear them to work. They're literally, you can do anything in these shirts. And the website does check out www.comfortable.af. I'm going to be back later with some more Raiders news and Raider Nation rumors later on in the week. So until then, go Raiders. Raider Nation, what's going on? Is this the #1 Raiders channel on YouTube? For Chucky heads, believe it, baby. And if you haven't already, subscribe right here. I'm giving you Chucky heads, news, rumors, Raider Nation rumors. And look at this. I'm making your life easier. Check out my next video. Thanks for watching, and go Raiders.